guys, I hope you're all well. Welcome back to Everyday Amazing You. This is my first proper video after my introduction one, and I did a shout out for any topics that you guys would like me to cover, and the one that came up the most was dealing with difficult stages as a parent. So I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I've only kind of gotten up to the 4-nager stage, but I've done terrible 2s, sleepless nights, fussy eating, 3-nager, and now 4-nager. So I've got a little bit of experience, but I'm really hoping that this can kind of be generalised and that you can apply it to maybe if you've got a bit of a stroppy teenager. So yes, I hope you like this video. If you do, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment below and let me know if you've got any tips to add. So yes, let's get going. Okay, number one, and it's not so much a piece of advice, but more just an inspirational quote. And that is that you will never regret being calm. I don't think I have ever in my life dealt with a situation and then thought afterwards, oh, I wish I lost my SHIT, or I wish I shouted a bit louder, or I wish I hadn't been so nice and happy and positive during that situation. I always regret the times that I've shouted, huffed and puffed, picked Jasper up off the floor a bit too quickly because I just want him to stop having a tantrum in the middle of the shop. And you know, those are the times that I think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, and I feel guilty, even though maybe my actions felt justified at the time. I always know that I could have dealt with them a little bit more calmly. So if you have the option to, always try to be calm, to be positive, to be understanding. I know it's not easy, and that's what the next few tips are going to try and help with. But yeah, just remember that you'll never ever regret being calm. Number two, and again, this isn't really advice, but it's more of a reminder, and that is everything is constantly changing. There's a quote that says something like, appreciate the good times because they don't last forever, and don't worry about the bad times because again, they don't last forever. And I think that's such an important thing to remember when it comes to difficult stages as a parent, because it's so easy to think, oh, my child's never going to sleep through the night, they're always going to spit or hit or throw themselves on the floor, throw things, try and get out of their car seat. You know, I have been through all of those things, and you just feel so helpless at the time. But it's so important to remember that your 18-year-old is not going to be waking in the middle of the night to get into your bed with you, and you'd like to think that when they're 25 and they're in their first long-term relationship, they're not going to be throwing food on the floor. And it's one of those annoying things people always say to you, like, oh, it's just a phase, it'll pass. But I think sometimes you have to look a bit deeper into it and realise why it will pass. And that is because no 2 seconds of your life are exactly the same. You know, this second is different to the second before, and the second before, and the second before. We are constantly changing, constantly evolving. So every second that goes by, you're getting closer to the next stage and further away from the previous or current stage that you're in. So just remember that everything is changing. Every new second, you've got a new opportunity to react a different way, to try something new, to be further away from the negative situation that you were in. So yeah, sometimes when Jasper is being a little bit cheeky, rather than thinking it's a phase, it will pass, I just think to myself, we're constantly changing, we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. And I think it's quite an uplifting way to think of it as well, because you have the power to constantly be in the present and to put things in the past, which, yeah, I think is quite a powerful tool to have. Right, number 3, and this is a tip, and that is to change your environment or scenery. This I find 99% of the time works if your child is having a tantrum. If you're in the house and your children are getting bored and they're starting to play up, take them outside, take them in the garden, take them for a walk, and it might even be you that needs a change of scenery. So if your child is having a tantrum on the floor, you might need to just take a couple of minutes just to step into the kitchen or step outside and just... So it's just being in a different situation. Sometimes when you're dealing with a difficult situation, it can be all-consuming and you can kind of feel helpless and like there's no way out. So sometimes you need to take charge and make that powerful step to just walk away, take a couple of minutes out, recoup a little bit, and then you can either go back to it or you can just keep moving on from your new environment, your new scenery, and put it in the past. Number 4 is to find your technique. Maybe take 5 deep breaths, count backwards from 10. It could be to change your focus. So like with the last one where you change your scenery, with this one you could stay in your environment but just change your focus. So rather than focusing on your child who's screaming on the floor, or your teenager has just slammed the door in your face, or your baby who just will not sleep, just look at something else. Maybe count the tiles on the wall in your bathroom, or look at the bird that's flying in the sky and follow it all the way till it's out of sight. And by the time it is out of sight, you can kind of come back to the situation that you're in and refocus. It could be that you ground yourself, which is a really, really useful technique. I use this a lot. I use it for myself. I use it with Jasper. And it's basically a really popular technique for people who are having panic attacks. And that is to note 5 things that you can see. So for example, for me at the moment, I can see the camera, I can see my curtain, I can see my mirror, the carpet, and the radiator. And then think of 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can taste, and 1 thing that you can smell. You don't have to say it out loud, you can literally just do it in your head, and it just changes your focus long enough for you to kind of regroup your thoughts a little bit and then be able to go back to the situation with a calmer head. You can also do this with your child. Change their focus. Can you find me 5 things that are blue, 4 yellow items, 3 red items, maybe 5 things that are fluffy, 3 things that are spiky, 4 things that move, 2 things that are flat, you know, anything like that. And it's a really good way of changing their focus. It gives them an important job, and children love to do things that are important, so that I find works amazingly. And lastly, number 5 is to understand that that person has never been you. Something that I always try and remember is that Jasper is only 4, Jensen is only 2, and I know firsthand how frustrating it is when you're in a supermarket, your child is having a tantrum on the floor, and a lovely little old lady walks past you and says, oh, but they're only little. Oh, you know, he's only a preschooler, he's only a toddler. And you want to say to them, I know that they are. You've made me feel guilty now because I'm, you know, maybe expecting more of my child than I should be. And it's the most frustrating thing. So I'm not saying at all, you know, just remember they're only little, but looking a little bit deeper into it, why does it matter that they're only little? So for example, I'm 29, I have had 29 years of life experience, 29 years of relationships with friends and teachers and parents and partners, and that's 29 years of emotions and experiences. But Jasper has only had 4, Jensen has only had 2, they have only been on this earth for 4 years and 2 years. I'm just focusing on Jasper for this example, but he's only ever experienced his immediate family, some of his extended family, friends from preschool. He has no idea of the life outside of his life. There are emotions that he's never experienced. There are experiences that he's never experienced, let alone could even comprehend would be possible. I try and think of that before I shout and before I lose my temper and throw something or anything like that. So those are my 5 tips for dealing with a difficult stage as a parent. I really hope that you found them useful. If you did, then like I said, please do give this a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below if you have any to add. And I will see you for my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!